Have you ever wondered what coral actually is? Well, Dr. David Vaughan explains to us in detail what it is, why they're important to the environment, what his discovery means, the technique used, and how it all works.
So we have a slow start of people thinking first, corals grow slow, we could never plant enough. It can't be done in a timely manner, and it has to be very expensive, and it can't be done at scale. So I figured that if we could show that it can be done at scale, then people would see it can be done in replicates of that in other parts of the island or in other islands as well. So coral biologists in just the past 2 decades have really been despondent. We see how corals were being lost 10, 20, and 30 years ago. We watched it happening, and we saw that it was really a global effect, and that the global effect wasn't turning around fast enough. So you had a lot of people that literally knew too much by knowing what's going on underwater to say we're losing hope. But this technology now is the one thing that is a game changer for corals at a time when we need the hope, and we need to give to our next generation that we lost these corals in our generation, and we can fix them in your generation. And young people get it. They really do get it. Not only do they know it's happening, they need it to happen in their lifetime. So I'm a real proponent of basically demonstrating and educating to our young people that not only is this something they can have hope about, they can have a technology job in this. I grew up knowing that in my lifetime we started to make national parks and preserve areas, and I wanted to be a park ranger so I could help Mother Nature with managing the forest and the trees. People on an island now could be underwater marine protected area rangers. They could be people that help to plant and manage the underwater forests and show the tourists how beautiful it can be again. So we can have jobs for the young people that they can look forward to. Not only is there hope that it naturally is going to be beautiful, but they can have a piece of it. It can be their community's badge of honor. Question that everybody has as a concern, because a lot of people do know that we've lost maybe 40% of the world's corals. So a lot of people want to know, why should we even grow a coral if you're just going to put it out there to die? And the answer is that we've lost the ones that can't tolerate today's conditions or the past 10 to 20 or 30 years. But the ones that are there, just like a forest maybe being resistant of some trees, resistant to forest fires, resistant to diseases, and those droughts, any kind of conditions, those are the ones that Mother Nature is going to have reproduce naturally. We're just going to take those ones that Mother Nature naturally selected and make more of them in our lifetime. Now in the future, we really need to still address climate change. We can't just keep warming this planet. The corals are telling us that there's a problem, and hopefully we'll realize by corals that we have to stop it in the next number of decades, or all bets are off, not just for corals, but the oceans and eventually all mankind on this planet. We know this technology because it's so new, that there are people that are still thinking that, well, maybe we just try to protect more areas and it'll all come back on its own. Mother Nature will grow back. Well, that may be the case, but that may be the case that it may happen in 100 or 1,000 years. We want it to grow back in our lifetime and not lose the thousands of fish that require a living reef to be there for their longevity as well. And so this is a scenario that people can look at, people can have as an education. Grand Cayman is, in my opinion, one of the best dive spots in the Caribbean. It's also the spot that draws thousands of people to this island because they know that it's a beautiful island. And so because we're sharing this beautiful island, we also have to use new technologies to keep it looking beautiful. You know, I wish I could stop exhaling CO2, but I can't. But I try to do my best to not exhale too much. But I know that we have people that want to come here by plane and by boat, and people that want to stay here and live on this island, not move away because there's no jobs. There's jobs because there's tourism. We just need to make tourism a sustainable way of tourism, and growing corals and planting them back is a way to do that. And not only is it a way to do that, it's a way to show the tourists an attraction, just like our turtle center here shows that turtles were a problem, but we can use technology to solve turtle issues. And it's a wonderful attraction. We can do the same thing with corals, and it will be a wonderful attraction as well. Well, they're on the forefront, and I'd like to see a place like this stay out in front. And so this has worked in Cancun, where they have 2 to 3 million visitors, also by plane and by cruise ships, and 2 of their beautiful standard reefs were destroyed, one by a hurricane and one by a ship that grounded on it. And we transferred that coral reef back to a beautiful coral reef in less than 8 years. And they are both the size of a rugby field. And they did that with just about 10 to 15,000 corals. We're talking about being able to grow 50 to 100,000 corals every year. And so we can make football fields after football fields here. It's taken place also successfully in Belize. The group called Fragments of Hope have shown in a couple of their marine protected areas that they completely rebuilt in less than 10 years, and most of it in the last 5, reefs that look beautiful. There's not thousands of samples or examples of this. So it's brand new technology. So I would like to see, the reason of promoting Plant a Million Corals is to show it can be done. Well, most people don't know the real value of corals. Actually, corals are less than 1% of the bottom of the ocean, but they're reliant and responsible for 25 to 40% of the world's fisheries. And they're responsible for actually cutting our shoreline damage in half. If we didn't have coral reefs, our coastline shore erosion or storm damage would be double. So these are big items. In places like Florida, it's $5 billion economy. 77,000 people have jobs directly related to scuba diving or tourism on the reef. So these are big efforts. And so a lot of people ask me the question, what will it cost us to actually restore corals? But I have to ask, what will it cost us if we don't restore them?